So today we are going to learn how to make this exact scarf. So I have it completed, and it is a warp of array wool from Gist, and then the weft is baby alpaca from Gist. So the purple is periwinkle and the yellow is straw. If you guys remember, we opened this particular package, and you guys remember my video with the Gist sampler pack? We got these colors. I didn't really know what I was going to do with them at the time because I generally don't pick many kind of straw yellows, but it's absolutely beautiful and I love it and I'm glad I got it. So I used it for this particular project. You can actually see the design here. Up close is what we have. So early in the video, I will be packing it a little too tight, and this is what it looks like. So if you like this look, go ahead and just pack it down tight. I personally did not love that, so I started being a lot more gentle and got this, which I was much happier with. You can see it on both sides. It's a very beautiful design that mirrors itself. The fabric did fluff up a bit. I had it set at 30 ends per inch in a 10 dent reed. I probably should have stuck with my original plan and put it in an 8 dent reed and had 24 ends per inch. But you live, you learn, and you can make those adjustments on yours. So the completed scarf, I have about 8-inch fringes on each side, and the length of the woven pattern is 60 inches long. So it's pretty dead on there. The width is about 6 inches. I think it's just a hair under, but all in all, I'm pretty happy with it. I think even though I did pack the warp a little tight, it still has a lot of flexibility. It has a good drape. I love how fluffy the wool became at the ends. And I'm glad I didn't do a twisted fringe because this just absolutely looks like it completes it to me. And the scarf really kind of sits together quite well. It is very thick, it is very fluffy, and it is soft and warm. So it's all the things I'd want from a scarf. And I think it's absolutely beautiful. So just follow the instructions. You'll get pretty much this exact same scarf. I wove all the way until I had basically reached the end. With my loom, I have about 36 inches of waist. So consider that for your loom on how far you need to have for extra. I always add 36 inches for waist. So this is the completed pattern. Don't forget, like, subscribe, share with your friends, and hope you enjoy this tutorial. So we have a 3-yard warp here, and we are doing 24 ends per inch. And I've tied off right here is a 1.5 inch section, but all the rest of these are 1 inches. So we have 8.5 inches. Because hopefully after the entire project's done, it will be about an 8-inch scarf. So I did not use the whole roll. This should be closer to about 600 yards, give or take a little bit. All right, so I have it completely set up. My warp was about 3 yards long, and this is 30 ends per inch, and this is a 10 dent reed. In each section, you see I have 3 threads per petal, and I also have some floating selvages on both sides because I find those are very useful, especially with twill patterns. The reason for this is because my baby alpaca is about 3 times as thick. So in order for it to be a more balanced twill, I wanted to make sure that the warp threads were practically the same width as my weft threads. So the threading on this is actually fairly simple. You just go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, all the way back, and then you start again at the first petal, and you continue all the way back. That's the pattern you're going to follow for the entire process, for the entire width of your project. Now, how we have the treadles set up is it's only 6 treadles. So we have treadle 1, which is going to raise heddle 1, heddle 4, heddle 6, and heddle 7. And then you have treadle 2, which is going to raise heddle 2, 3, 4, and 8. When you press down treadle 3, you're going to raise 1, petal 1, 2, 3, and 4. On treadle 4, you're going to raise shafts 5, 6, 7, and 8. Treadle 5, it's going to be shafts 1, shafts 5, 6, and 7. And then on treadle 6, it's going to be shafts 2, 3, 5, and 8. So that's how we have our treadling and heddles set up. Let's go ahead and get a few passes going. I'm just going to do some plain weave. That's optional if you want to do that. I'll only do probably about 3 or 4 passes of that in order to do my hem stitch. Okay, so to create the pattern, first we are going to lift treadle 1. And treadle 1 is lifting shafts 1, 4, 6, and 7. So 1, 4, 6, and 7 with treadle 1, pass through. And this is why it's important to have floating selvages with this pattern. Next, we're going to go treadle 2, which is lifting shafts 2, 3, 4, and 8. We're going to pass through, feet down, and then we're going to lift the exact same shed with treadle 2, pass through again. And we'll just go ahead and pick up those floating selvages. Next is treadle 3, which is going to lift shafts 1, 2, 3, and 4. Go ahead and beat. Lift treadle 4, which is lifting shafts 5, 6, 7, and 8. Pass through. And then we're going to lift treadle 5, which is lifting shafts 1, 5, 6, and 7. We'll do this shed twice, just like we did with treadle 2. And then we're going to press treadle 6, which is lifting shafts 2, 3, 5, and 8. And we're going to pass through again. And then we start over at treadle 1. So basically, this pattern is constantly mirroring itself. So you do it where the floats come up on this side, and then this side, and then this side, and then this side. And it basically goes back and forth in a mirroring pattern. So right here, I beat down a little bit softer so you can see a little bit more definition in those gaps. But it is constantly mirroring itself, and that's what's going to give us that look. So this yarn fluffs up quite a bit, so you can still see some definition. I have to decide on how thick or how hard I want to beat it. I'm not really particularly beating hard to get this right now, but I might want to soften up a bit because I kind of like this down here where it's a little bit looser. So let's just keep going and we will check back in. But that is how you do the pattern, and that is the entire treadling sequence. And that is the entire setup of how we tied on, how many threads we have in each section. So we do have each group of purple for the warp is 3 of Gist Array wool. And this is their baby alpaca. As you can see, the reason I did 3, you can see that those strings by each other. it's about 3 times as wide. So in order to make it more balanced, that's why I put 3 threads together in each grouping. So I slide this through a 10 dent reed, which was giving me about 30 ends per inch since I put 3 threads in each. I considered doing an 8 dent to spread it out a little bit more, which would have given me 24 threads per inch. We'll see if I made the right choice. Let's keep going. Okay, so I've been beating much more gently for the last few passes, and you can kind of see the difference in the pattern. I think I like it a lot more when I beat far more gently, just because you can see a little bit more definition than versus down here. I think this is really cool and has a very textured look, but but this one I think is just prettier and more of the style that we want. So I'm going to keep beating with a very light beat and not try to pack it down so hard. I have a tendency to basically hit things together pretty hard, and you can see that I pack things together pretty tight normally, but right here is much nicer. And I'm probably getting, let me see, at this point, yeah, packing it is, I'm actually probably still getting close to 15 ends per inch, which is pretty insane even for a twill. But yeah, so probably about 15 ends per inch to get this one, and my warp is set at 30 ends per inch. So I've got it pretty woven. When I wash it, hopefully that will kind of spread out, which will kind of squish this together a little bit more. But hopefully it balances out. So let's keep going.